Yo, Darious Britt here, and today we're taking a closer look at The Dark Knight. So if you're just learning this filmmaking thing and you want to understand the psychology behind camera placement, how to move the camera and what effect it has on the audience, it really helps if you study other films and see how they did it. Dark Knight's obviously a classic, directed by Chris Nolan, yada yada yada. We're just gonna jump into it. Dinner time. In this scene, Bruce Wayne wants to know if he can trust the new district attorney, Harvey Dent. They both bring their dates and chat over din. Let's take a look at the shots. The scene starts with two medium shots on the table. The actual conversation starts with small talk.
Is Wayne Manor in the city limits?
As the conversation moves to vigilantism and what it means to be a hero, we dolly across the eye line to the other side.
I'm talking about the kind of city that idolizes a masked vigilante.
Gotham City is proud of an ordinary citizen standing up for what's right.
The eye line cross here is a nice way of showing the progression in the conversation from small talk to serious issues. As Harvey explains his ideals, we push in on Bruce's reaction because that is the dramatic meat of the scene. Bruce is deciding whether he can trust Harvey.
Democracy, Harvey.
When their enemies were at the gates, the Romans would suspend democracy and appoint one man to protect the city.
Once Bruce is convinced, we jump back across the eye line to the other side, visually signaling another change in the conversation.
Well, I'm sold, then, and I'm gonna throw you a fundraiser.
Now Bruce thinks Harvey can be trusted, and he supports him. Every time something significant happens in the conversation, we move across the eye line. Also, we've got hot rim lights giving our actors some separation from the background to draw our focus. Without it, they would just blend into the background, which we don't want. Next, rooftop shenanigans. So the mob has given their cash to a Chinese accountant who's headed to Hong Kong, thus shooting a hole in Batman, Harvey Dent, and Gordon's plans. Tensions are high. Let's look at the scene. When Batman and Gordon enter the scene, we circle around everyone with a Steadicam.
Lau's halfway to Hong Kong.
We were coming. As soon as your office got involved, I'll try and cloud the fact that clearly Maroni's got people in your office, Dent.
Dramatically speaking, these three men are not on the same page. They're throwing blame at each other. And this shot does two things in my opinion. One, it's a visual commentary on their relationship. Their plans have just flopped and they don't know if they can trust each other. Nobody feels in control right now. And the camera move sort of comments on this because it's spinning around them. It's not anchored down. Two, it looks cool. I mean, it does. It's a dynamic shot. Once they settle on a plan of action, the camera stops spinning and we go back into conventional coverage.
If I get him to you, can you get him to talk? I'll get him to sing.
When everything is up in the air, the camera spins. And when they figure out what to do next, the camera's locked back down. Next, making plans. So Bruce has got to get his butt to China to bust some heads. And he's making his plans with all his peeps, but we're going to take a look at this scene with him and Alfred. As Bruce and Alfred discuss logistics, we get another 360 camera move around the actors. And at the very end of the shot, we do a slight push in on Alfred's last line for dramatic effect.
Oh yes.
This is the same shot as the one that I talked about earlier, but it has a different application. So why would they use this shot here? One, it's kinetic and brings a lot of energy. This scene is a part of a sequence of scenes that move very quickly, and this shot being dynamic helps to build energy and anticipation for what's to come next. Two, it looks cool. It's more fun to look at this than traditional coverage. If every scene were shot the exact same way, how boring would that be? Next, Harvey Squeeze. Joker invades Bruce's penthouse in search of Harvey Dent and finds little old Rachel. What follows is one of the most memorable scenes in the movie. We follow Joker as he sizes Rachel up, then the camera circles around both actors in a medium close-up. Even though the Joker motivates the camera moves with his actions, I'd say the move itself is a visual commentary on Rachel's subjective experience. Rachel's probably overwhelmed having a knife-wielding psychopath in her face. Her brain must be going a million miles a minute, right? What do I do? What do I say? Is he gonna kill me? How do I get out of this? She's probably got that adrenaline pumping. That whole experience can be kind of disorienting, and the camera rotating around the actors where we get that constant parallax shift, that's also a little disorienting, and it really helps to visually communicate that feeling. The spinning stops halfway through the conversation and we jump back into shot, reverse shot. This is probably because spinning around both actors for the whole conversation would get really old really fast. But this also gives us a chance to settle in on just how disturbing the scene really is, and we can really take in the reactions. Already we've seen 3 different applications for the same camera move. Next, the interrogation room. This is the classic clashing of wills in the interrogation scene. Batman wants answers out of Joker, and Joker just wants to screw with Batman's head. When Bats and Joker break the ice with each other, we are on one side of the eye line.
Even to a guy like me, that's cold.
As they get to kind of know each other and things get a little comical, we move on to the other side of the eye line.
You complete me.
You're garbage. You kills for money.
Don't talk like one of them. You're not.
Then when the conversation moves to Joker's dark philosophies about society, we move back across the eye line again to the other side.
They'll cast you out. Like a leper. You see, their morals, their code. It's a bad joke.
Each time the beat of the conversation changes, we move across the eye line. Again, a visual way of showing the progression of the discussion. Also, it's worth noting that the camera is eye level with both actors. We aren't looking up or looking down on either one of them. Instead, we're level, suggesting that both characters are equals. Push-ins. There is a ton of push-ins in this movie. I mean, they use them for many different applications, but I'm just gonna point out a few of the ones that I thought were interesting. Dant and Gordon. When Harvey and Gordon first meet, they're not exactly on the friendliest terms. Neither one of them trusts the other. Over the course of the scene, we gradually push in on both actors, eventually ending with 2 close-ups. The push-ins are a subtle way of visually bringing the conflict between them to the forefront. As they both feel each other out and entertain this little power struggle with witty retorts and verbal jousting, they both get larger in the frame. But by the end of the scene, they reach somewhat of an understanding. Again, the push-in here is very subtle, but it takes place over the duration of the entire scene. The accountant. When Fox and the crooked accountant discuss business, the push-in here on both characters is more noticeable and more pronounced. It really gives you the feel that there's a showdown taking place between the 2 characters.
Whatever it is you're accused of being.
So now the conflict in this scene between Fox and the crooked accountant is definitely not as subtle as the last scene that we talked about, hence the more aggressive push-ins. Joker TV. The use of push-ins here is interesting. We push in on Bruce and Alfred as they watch Joker's video on TV, but we don't push in on the television.
No. Then why do you dress up like him?
We don't actually push in on the TV screen until Joker's face appears.
You see, this is how crazy Batman's made Gotham.
They deliberately hold off on the push-in on the TV screen until we actually see the Joker's face on the screen. Once his face pops up on that screen and he starts threatening Batman, aka Bruce, then they bring in the mutual push-ins on both sides to visually kind of communicate that showdown. Joker and Gordon. Harvey and Rachel have gone missing and Joker's got something to do with it. As Gordon presses Joker for more info on the whereabouts of Harvey and Rachel, we get this super slow push-in on both characters. Again, we have 2 characters in a clash of wills. Who's gonna win and who's gonna lose? There is an evident power struggle as both characters get larger in the frame. Notice the camera is also slightly below eye level looking up at both the characters, which empowers them. I actually think this choice has more to do with the lighting. I don't think the lighting would have played on the faces in darkness as well if the camera were eye level with both the actors. The other push-ins that I saw seemed to me to be more for visual interest and effect rather than the actual commentary on the psychology of the scene. I never really realized how many push-ins there were until I actually studied the shots. Man, there are a ton. I would ask you, watch the movie again and just study how they move the camera and you'll see what I'm talking about. You're like, wow, they're like, it's always like pushing in on somebody. Never have I ever seen that many push-ins in one movie before. On a side note, I do offer some consulting services if you're looking for feedback on your scripts or films, and also if you've got some burning questions or you just want to talk about YouTube or your goals in filmmaking, you're just looking for pointers or something to that effect. I also offer chat with me sessions, so you can also book an appointment there for that as well. I will leave a link in the description section so you can get more details on that. Well, that's all I got for you. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like or subscribe. You can find me on the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, or the Twitter, baby. You can also check out my second YouTube channel, DARIOUS BRITT, where I vlog about my adventures on the film festival circuit, my first feature-length film, unsound, live casting, vlogs, etc., etc. I do believe that's all I got for you, suckers. Deep Brit out.